In October of 2021, the San Francisco Baykeeper, an environmental watchdog group, discovered black plumes of soot leaking into the bay at the Port of Benicia. Those plumes, along with streams of black dust floating into the air, were petroleum coke, a carbon-dense fossil fuel laden with heavy metals, dangerous to human health. In this case, the petcoke came from the Valero Benicia refinery, which produces 175 barrels of oil per day. And according to Cole Burchell, the Baykeeper field investigator who captured the footage, that incident was far from the first or the last. It had been 5 years since Baykeeper received its first tip about the mishandling of petcoke at the port. But it wasn't until 2020 that the organization had the infrastructure, a drone, to patrol areas that were previously out of reach.
On that specific day, we came out here, we launched the drone, and pretty much immediately we were able to identify the plume. Over the following months, I came back on a routine basis to establish a pattern and identify repeat instances. Some of them were better in that there was less of a plume being produced. Some of them were much, much worse. The most significant pollution I've seen from the port was an aerial plume of thick black smoke that was 500 feet tall.
Footage in hand, Baykeeper issued an intent to sue both Valero and Amports, the company who manages the Port of Benicia, claiming that both parties violated the Clean Water Act and other regulatory and permitting laws. Kathy Carriage, an environmental activist who has lived in Benicia for the past 37 years, wasn't shocked by the Baykeeper video. Instead, it confirmed what she and many residents already knew. Petcoke was being mismanaged at the port for years.
You start thinking, oh my gosh, this is like a little mini oil spill on almost a daily basis. Because you could see it filtering through the water. We have fishermen up and down the straits that are eating the fish that they pull out of here. We have kids that swim in the straits. It's also very dangerous airborne. Petcoke has heavy metals on it, and you can't believe that those are good going into our Carquinez Strait.
Baykeeper has documented multiple instances of petcoke being discharged into the strait. From 2010 to today, records also show that dredged material from the port contained high levels of zinc, mercury, nickel, copper, and arsenic, all of which are consistent with petcoke contamination.
This refinery is producing petcoke, this extremely dangerous material. And it is clear that once again, they have not either thought it through or complied with existing systems to contain this. They seem to be satisfied with allowing this stuff to run off into the straits.
Petcoke isn't the only thing Benicia residents are now dealing with. While Burchell was documenting the petcoke spill, the Bay Area Air Quality Management District was looking into another incident at the same refinery. Through an investigation into Valero in 2018, the Air District found the refinery was producing precursor organic compounds, including cancer-causing agents like benzene, that were 350 times higher than permitted. While the Air District limits such emissions to 15 pounds per day, during the course of the investigation, Valero was producing 5,200 per day.
So this wasn't just a little bit over the legal limit. This was like somebody driving 400 miles an hour in a 5 mile per hour speed zone.
Though it's difficult to establish direct links between health impacts and pollution, substances like petcoke, and others associated with industrial production, may increase risks of cancer, respiratory problems, and other chronic illnesses. In 2016, a state health assessment showed Solano County, home to the Valero refinery and many other industrial sites, had higher rates of asthma and some cancers when compared to California as a whole.
Hey. I've had 2 neighbors die of lung cancer. Neither one smoked. I've recently had 2 friends lose their husbands to cancer. I've had breast cancer myself. It's very difficult to say, oh, this is caused by excess pollution. You can't really pin it on that, but I don't know how typical it is to have had that many people die of lung cancer, in your neighborhood.
With 3 other refineries operating across the East Bay, communities like Richmond, Martinez, and Vallejo share Benicia's health risks, and in some cases are facing additional challenges. Richmond, for example, is home to Chevron. In the neighborhood surrounding Richmond's Levin terminal, which handles coal and petcoke, asthma rates are higher than 99% of all neighborhoods in California.
I'm a retired elementary school teacher. My students they weren't performing as well as they should have physically because PE is a mandated. And when I kept trying to push them, I got complaints from parents, saying, I don't know whether my son's told you, but he has asthma and he can't do what you're asking him to do. And so then I started doing an inventory of my students, and I found out that over half my students had asthma.
Despite these challenges, community members in Benicia, Richmond, and across the East Bay are doing whatever they can to make living in a refinery town safer, on land and at sea. In early March, Kathy and her colleagues at the Good Neighbors Steering Committee, a local environmental group, unveiled the Benicia Community Air Monitoring Program right outside of Valero. And as Baykeeper pushes their legal action with Valero and Amports forward, their team of skippers, legal experts, and field investigators continue patrolling the San Francisco Bay, hoping their presence and their lawsuits will force companies to better manage their operations.
My hope comes from the fact that we have been able to organize, pull people together, create networks all around the Bay Area addressing this. The industry is going kicking and screaming, resisting these changes, but that's nothing new. We expect that.
We have a solid case lined up and some of the best lawyers I've ever met, so I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to deliver justice to this community.